In the land of Hyrcania, people live in harmony with nature. Unfortunately, when the barbarian king Anzus rises to power, he starts bringing destruction everywhere. One day, Anzus' army attacks the village of a young girl named Sonia, leaving almost no survivors. Many years later, an adult Sonia is looking for other members of her tribe. She keeps a map of the forest and marks the spots she's already visited. At a lake, she finds a statue of the forest goddess and prays to her before taking a bath. At that moment, some beautiful creatures run nearby because they're being hunted by mercenaries. Sonia and her horse immediately hide and don't come out until the mercenaries are gone. Later they find all these creatures dead on the ground without their horns. After riding for several hours, Sonia finds a small kingdom under attack. She makes her horse wait in the forest and sneaks around the village until she sees the mercenaries pushing a huge creature into a cage. Suddenly a horn is blown and Emperor Dragan arrives with his soldiers, a terrifying vehicle, and his assassin Anisia. It turns out the mercenaries have been collecting exotic creatures for the Emperor's gladiator games, so Dragan looks at the cages to approve of the results. Then Dragan checks the prisoners and makes his soldiers bring out the leader. He explains that he met this man many years ago when he was a slave, and the guy spat on him. Dragan is looking for the missing half of the Book of Secrets and wants to enter the Hyrcanian forest, so the man warns him that only people accepted by the gods can go there. However, Dragan doesn't believe in gods, he believes in knowledge and science. After yelling at the man for having faith, Dragan tells General Karlach to kill him. Meanwhile, Sonia continues to sneak around and finds two mercenaries torturing a beast in a cage. She calls them out for their cruelty before quickly stabbing them both to death. Then she tries to open the cage, but she's stopped by Anisia putting a sword to her neck. Sonia pushes the sword away and steps back while Anisia tells her that the whole forest will be gone soon. At that moment the voices in Anisia's head tell her to kill, so she attacks Sonia. The women start fighting, showing off impressive skills with their weapons. However, Anisia is still better with a sword and manages to disarm Sonia, who counterattacks by grabbing Anisia's legs to bring her down. A crowd gathers around them as they continue to fight on the ground and Sonia manages to get Anisia in a chokehold. When Dragan sees this, he says it's good entertainment. Suddenly Sonia is distracted by her horse coming for her, so Karlach knocks her out. Sometime later Sonia wakes up in the invader's tent tied to a cross. Dragan asks her some questions, but since she won't talk, Karlach pokes her wounds with a sword to torture her. When Dragan steals her map, Sonia pulls her hand free in fury and grabs him by his clothes, so Anisia points her sword at her to make her back off. Dragan tells her not to kill Sonia because he wants her to participate in the gladiator games. As Sonia passes out again, she dreams of the day her village was attacked. Her mother told her to take the children and run to the forest. Little Sonia ran around to try to rescue other kids, but the invaders were everywhere and she couldn't reach anyone. Then she had to watch her mother being killed. The next time Sonia wakes up, she's in a cage with other slaves. The wagons take them to the capital, where Sonia has to watch some men whip her horse. Furious, she starts beating the guards up until she frees herself, then she uses her chains to capture the man with the whip. She brings him down and tries to kill him, but the soldiers capture her and throw her back in the cage, where she passes out again. Sometime later Sonia awakens and is shocked to see her mother in front of her. However, it's just an illusion caused by her dreaming. It's actually just an old lady. A startled Sonia grabs her by the neck and puts a knife to her neck, trying to use her as a shield. The other slaves explain that she's in the Damnati pits, where life has no value and there's no escape. If she kills the old lady, nobody will care. The captain takes her knife and tells her to calm down or he'll have to whip her. Meanwhile, Maester Krudlis wonders why Dragan is so obsessed with the Hyrcanian forest. Dragan explains that when King Anzus exterminated the Hyrcanians, the survivors fled into the forest and took half of the Book of Secrets. Dragan has the other half, which has already helped him achieve many scientific feats, but he wants more. There's a message in the book in a code that only Dragan has deciphered, which says that a child with all the knowledge within will rule the world. Dragan thinks this prophecy is about him, so he wants to know how it ends. In the evening, Sonia keeps trying to escape the pit by climbing the wall. The slaves thinks it's ridiculous because nobody has ever made it to the top, but Sonia proves them wrong. Soon she reaches the top and leaves the pit, only to be surrounded by guards. She beats up a few of them and even throws one down the pit, but they keep coming and eventually surround her to capture her again. Afterward, Sonia finds herself chained to her bed. The other slaves tell her that to be free, she has to win all the fights in the arena. They share that Anisia used to be a slave and won her freedom, but rumors say the voices she hears are the ghosts of all the people she killed. In the castle, Anisia discovers she's almost out of medicine, and hides her empty bottles when Dragan enters the room. She reminds him that he promised he would cure her and Dragan says he will, but she can't become his empress until she's sane. He gives her a new bottle of medicine and she drinks it all. After he leaves, Anisia thinks she sees ghosts in the mirror. The next morning the slaves start training for the games. Sonia meets Osin, who is known as the Untouched because he hasn't been touched by a blade since he was captured. He dares Sonia to change that and get him as the prize. Petra tells Sonia she shouldn't make friends because she never knows who she may have to fight later. When the games begin, the slaves surround the blacksmith and try to get good weapons. Since Sonia is new, she only gets a wooden sword and shield, plus really stupid bikini armor. The arena is packed and everyone cheers for another brutal death. Eventually Sonia and Petra are sent out, But Sonya refuses to kill an innocent woman for entertainment and wants to fight the Emperor instead. Dragan laughs and makes a gesture to his guards, who shoot arrows at Petra. Sonya runs to her side and apologizes before she dies. Soldiers then burst into the arena, so Sonya grabs Petra's better sword and starts fighting them. She brings the first guy down by slashing his legs, then she takes his knife since it's her weapon of choice. Now she can quickly kill the soldiers one by stabbing them in their exposed spots. In just a few minutes, she manages to defeat them all and the crowd celebrates her victory. Even Dragan is impressed. Before leaving, Sonya takes Petra's necklace. Later in the pit, Sonya gives the necklace to Petra's grieving boyfriend Hawk. Osin dedicates a toast to all the slaves that died today and Sonya sings a traditional hymn of her tribe in their memory. To her surprise, Daex knows the lyrics and sings along. The next day, Krudlis shows Dragan an artifact called the yoke, which he attaches to a forest beast's head using electricity. Dragan tests it by using a remote control, which makes the beast go crazy. He's satisfied with the result, but he wants the yoke to work on humans too. Krudlis has been experimenting on slaves, however the yoke killed them all. Dragan thinks that finding the other half of the book will allow them to finish this project and create a whole army of yoke-controlled humans. Next, Krudlis shows him a flaming orb, which is now powering the whole city. He promises that soon they'll be able to use it for weapons too. In the pit, Daex asks Sonya how she knows the song since she doesn't look Hyrcanian. He then realizes she's from the forest tribe and reveals that there's a group of survivors living in the heart of the woods. Sonya cries at the news and says they have to escape. Their conversation is interrupted when the captain tells her she's wanted at the palace. Sonya is forced to wear the bikini again and put in a cage, which is dragged to the Great Hall where Dragan is holding a banquet. He shows Sonya a map of the continent, which marks all the areas his armies have conquered. Dragan announces her forest is next and shows her the book, which triggers a memory of her tribe using the other half during rituals. That night, Sonya dreams of those rituals and her mother telling her to protect the book. Dragan kills her mother and steals the book before Sonya wakes up, determined not to let the dream come true. Later in the arena, the slaves are forced to fight mercenaries on horseback. They clearly have a disadvantage, so they work together to attack the horses and make them fall to bring down the humans at the same time. The captain comes looking for more slaves to send out and Sonya complains because she isn't chosen, so the captain tells her that Dragan forbade her from fighting because he wants her to watch everyone else die. Sonya asks Osin to protect Daex, then she goes to see the blacksmith and asks for better equipment. The blacksmith refuses, so Sonya threatens him, and the blacksmith changes his mind when he realizes Sonya is the only person who remembers his name. Afterward, Sonya ignores the captain and enters the arena anyway. Two mercenaries on horses come after her, but Dragan protects her by making his guards shoot them both. Sonya furiously reminds him that she's here to fight, but Dragan only wants her to tell him where the last Hyrcanians are. If she doesn't talk, all the slaves will die. The guards bring every single slave out before Dragan uses the remote control to open a platform on the ground, which reveals a huge cyclop with a yoke on the back of its neck. Dragan uses the control again to make the beast attack the slaves. Everyone starts running, but the cyclops still manages to headbutt a few slaves, causing them to fall into the abyss. Hawk tries to attack the beast and is easily brought down. When Osin attacks next, the cyclops sends him flying over the edge. Then Sonya notices the yoke and makes a big jump to land on the cyclops' back, managing to hold on by stabbing it with her knives. As the cyclop begins to freak out, Sonya uses all her strength to pull the yoke off. The cyclop only calms down and lowers its body, causing Sonya to fall off. Then it brings down its fist, punching the ground right next to her. Sonya begs it to stop and explains she isn't its enemy, the Emperor is. The cyclop runs toward the stands and smashes them with its horns, causing the crowd to run away. The collapse of the structure still kills a few civilians, but Dragan moves out of the way at the last second and Karlach takes him away. In the arena, the slaves are mourning the loss of Osin, but at the moment he climbs back up and announces he's still untouched. Sonya points at a tunnel created by the Cyclops' destruction and tells her friends to run, promising to meet them later at the White Chapel. Afterward, Sonya sneaks back inside and starts fighting the guards, killing them one by one while asking them where about her horse. The whole group dies and it's the last guy who finally talks. Sonya rushes to Krudlis' lab and the workers there run away in fear. She looks at all the experiments and the flaming orb before finally finding her horse in a cage. After freeing it, she throws a sword at the orb. The lights in the palace flicker for a few seconds before the lab blows up. The explosion is so big that it hits the Great Hall, breaking the windows and bringing everyone down. Dragan survives with a few injuries, but Krudlis dies when a glass shard stabs him in the neck. As Dragan grieves for his right hand, Anisha tells him that she's already sent scouts after Sonya. In the morning, Sonya reunites with her friends and they all leave together. However, in the middle of the journey, Osin announces he must take a different road. It turns out he's a prince and Dragan captured him when he attacked his kingdom, so Osin wants to go back and rebuild. Sonya leans in pretending she's about to kiss him, but she actually slashes his arm with her knife so he isn't untouched anymore. Later, the group makes camp to rest and take care of their injuries. Sonya and Daex are excited about finding their people and share stories of their childhoods. At that moment, one of the slaves comes back from exploring with one of the scouts. She killed all the others and brought this one for interrogation. The scout tells Sonya that Dragan's party has been following them and is only one day behind. Sonya kills the man before talking to Daex in private. She tells him to go and find their people alone, explaining she can't go with him because she'd reveal their location to Dragan too. After Daex leaves, Sonya tries to ask the slaves to go too, but they refuse to let her fight alone. Sometime later Dragan discovers that one of his settlements has been attacked by Sonya's group, leaving everything in ashes. His army will be there in a day or two, so Dragan is starting to lose his mind. Anisha calls him weak and they end up arguing, only to be interrupted by Sonya appearing nearby. She throws a soldier's head on the ground and promises to make things worse if Dragan keeps sending scouts. In return, Karlach throws Daex's head. That night, Sonya sees a group of people approaching her team's camp. She gets her bow ready to shoot, but she's startled by a man who reveals that they're the lost Hyrcanians. Sonya runs to reunite with her people and even gets to hug a woman from her village named Hespera. They explain that they did see Daex, but they didn't have enough men to fight the soldiers and save him. These Hyrcanians have the other half of the book and tell Sonya how it happened. The day of the attack, a boy hid in the temple and watched a priest trying to save the book. However, a soldier attacked the priest and tried to take the book, which was torn in half by the struggle. Hespera surprised the soldier from behind and killed him before taking one of the halves, but she had to run before she could take the other one too. The little boy picked up the other half and hid it before the soldiers captured him. Later in the slave cell, the boy read the book and learned all its secrets, which allowed him to escape from slavery and become Emperor Dragan. Now the Hyrcanians want to hide with the book, but Sonya points out that Dragan will never stop looking for them. She convinces the group to take a stand to finally put an end to this war. Moments later, they surround the settlement and learn that Dragan's army has arrived with plenty of advanced weapons. The men start firing the cannons and Sonya's group has to run while the explosions set the forest on fire. While the soldiers invade the forest, Dragan tells Anisha he'll marry her if she brings him Sonya's head. In the woods, Sonya's group hides behind trees and under bushes until the soldiers are close enough to ambush them. A brutal battle begins while the flames continue to spread and cause explosions. Soon both sides are losing fighters by the second. When Sonya's group manages to gain the upper hand, she tells her people to run to lead the enemy deeper into the trees. A few soldiers go after Sonya, so she has to fight them alone. After killing them or dodging them all, she sees Anisha arrive. The women start fighting with their swords and it looks like their skills are equal, but Anisha manages to overpower Sonya and slashes her body a few times. Sonya refuses to give up and strikes Anisha back on the neck. Nearby Hawk bumps into Karlach and decides to fight him one-on-one. They exchange a few punches and even headbutts before Karlach strikes Hawk with his axe and stabs him with a sword. At the same time, Anisha stabs Sonya with her sword as well. When she is about to decapitate her, Anisha is tackled by Sonya's horse, who then lies down with its mistress. Sonya climbs on top of it and rides away. Later at the lake, Sonya thinks she sees her mother next to the statue. However, this is the actual goddess, who tells her the earth is bleeding and they can't let Dragan win. Sonya points out she always prayed for nothing, so the goddess explains that Sonya had to find her strength to accept her destiny. Then the goddess immerses Sonya in the lake to heal her injuries, telling her that the fate of the world is in her hands. Meanwhile, the survivors of Sonya's group have been captured. Hespera calls Dragan by his original Hyrcanian name and he slaps her, saying that the little scared boy is dead. He accuses Hespera of abandoning him and cries as he shakes her head until she admits it. When he checks her bag, he finally finds the other half of the book and sees it as proof that the prophecy is true. He orders the mercenary leader to kill her, but the man refuses to touch a priestess. Dragan grabs a sword and gets ready to kill Hespera himself, but at that moment an arrow kills a guard. To everyone's surprise, Sonya appears with a much more vibrant red in her hair. At the same time, Osun arrives with his army. As the soldiers rush to fight the intruders, the prisoners use the chance to break free and join the battle. A former slave tackles Karlach and bites his neck to finally kill him. Since Dragan's men lost many soldiers last night, Osun's army easily overpowers them and they are forced to retreat. The front gate has been locked, but Sonya just climbs the wall and makes it to the tower where she starts killing soldiers without mercy. Men on the ground also see her, so she shoots arrows at them before jumping down to fight them, easily bringing them down one by one with her incredible new strength. Inside a building, Dragan reads the other half of the book and is disappointed to discover it only talks about healing, medicine, and balance in nature, which he considers all useless. He then falls to his knees and begs Anisha to fight Sonya, but Anisha refuses because she's scared of someone capable of coming back from a deadly wound. Dragan tells her that she'll never be empress unless she protects him and calls her a coward, saying that the voices in her head agree with him. Anisha snaps and demands to know why he can hear them, so he admits he put the voices in her head because he didn't want to share his throne. Anisha realizes that the medicine bottles have actually been potions to drive her crazy, so she furiously pulls out her sword and stabs Dragan. When she looks down, she discovers he stabbed her too, and they collapse together. Outside, Sonya continues to fight the soldiers until there are none left. By the time she enters the building, Dragan is already gone. Anisha tells her that the voices are finally quiet before she dies. In the forest, a bleeding Dragan falls off his horse. When Sonya starts looking for him, she finds blood-stained book pages on the ground and follows them until she finds Dragan at an old sacred place. He's ripping pages of the book while saying it isn't a useful weapon anymore, so Sonya explains that the book was never a weapon. He twisted it into one and became a tyrant just like King Anzus. Sonia makes a list of all of Dragon's crimes, but she also apologizes for not helping him when the village was attacked. Dragon admits he's scared of death, so Sonia holds his hand while he finally reaches his end. Afterward she returns to the settlement with Dragon's body and tells her people to bury him as Hyrcanian for the boy he was and not the man he became. However, she won't return to the forest with them because she lived there all her life, so now she wants to go out and see the world. Many months later, Sonia is having fun at a tavern, impressing everyone with her skills. She's interrupted by Osen, who brings bad news and says her people need her, so she leaves with him. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.